I ruined a friendship by telling her the truth about her boyfriend. Now I'm being blamed for everything. I want to preface this by saying I'm not looking for validation. I know how this looks. I know how it sounds. Hell, even I question whether I made the right call. But the truth is, sometimes doing the right thing doesn't feel good. Sometimes it shatters everything. This is one of those times. My name's Julia. I'm 27, single, live in a medium-sized city in the Midwest, and I have, or had, a best friend named Elena. She was my person. You know, the one you meet when you're 9 and somehow, against all odds, grow up alongside through every life change. Puberty, prom nights, messy breakups, college move-ins. We did it all together. We called ourselves lifers. We were the type of best friends who knew each other's food orders by heart, who could decode each other's text messages with a single emoji. Elena and I had been through everything: her parents' divorce, my mom's cancer scare, 3 of her exes, and one of my failed engagements. We were rock solid. Until Mark came along. I met Mark at Elena's birthday party 2 years ago. She had just turned 25 and rented out this rooftop bar. It was the usual scene: overpriced cocktails, bad lighting, people pretending not to notice each other on Instagram stories. He was there with some guy from her work. He wasn't supposed to be anything special, just someone's plus one. But Elena, being Elena, was in one of her spontaneous energy moods and struck up a conversation. By the end of the night, they were making out behind a hedge like a couple of teenagers. I remember laughing about it with her the next morning. She brushed it off at first, said he was just fun, nothing serious. But within weeks, he was showing up everywhere. Sunday brunches, game nights, even our monthly girls-only wine and tarot sessions, which I'll admit, he completely killed the vibe of. Something about him felt off. Not obviously. Not in a "he's going to murder you in your sleep" way. He was charming, too charming. The type of guy who made too much eye contact and always knew the exact right thing to say, which somehow made him harder to trust. But Elena was smitten. I didn't say anything at first. She had dated worse. We all have. 3 months in, things started to feel weird. Elena and I used to talk every single day. Not always deep conversations, but little things: memes, gossip, outfit choices, updates about her job at the marketing firm she worked at. Slowly, those texts became more and more spaced out. She'd cancel plans last minute. Miss calls. Seemed distracted when we did talk. I chalked it up to the honeymoon phase. But then there was this one night I'll never forget. It was a Saturday in February, and we were supposed to have a girls' night, the kind we never missed. Pizza, wine, and reality TV. She texted me 2 hours before. "Hey, can we reschedule?" Mark surprised me with dinner. I said sure, no big deal. But later that night, I saw her tagged in someone's Instagram story, at a club. Not with Mark. With some coworkers. Including a guy she used to have a thing with before Mark. I felt that sick twist in my stomach. It wasn't that she ditched me. It was the lie. I called her the next day and asked about it casually. She brushed it off with, "Oh, plans changed last minute. Mark was tired, so I just went out with the girls." I didn't push, but something felt off. She'd never lied to me before. Not like that. Fast forward a few months. Elena and Mark had officially moved in together. It was fast, way too fast in my opinion. But Elena had always been impulsive in love. This time, though, it felt different. Like she wasn't just excited, she was obsessed. Like Mark had filled some kind of void she didn't even realize she had. I started noticing little changes in her. She stopped dressing the way she used to, bright colors, funky accessories, and started wearing all neutrals. Beige, black, beige again. She deleted all her old Instagram photos. She quit her salsa class. Stopped talking about the book she'd been writing. Everything that made her her was slowly getting stripped away. I mentioned it once, gently. "Hey, you okay? You don't seem like yourself lately." She laughed it off. "I'm just growing up, Jules. Maybe you should try it sometime." That stung. The real turning point happened on a Wednesday night last year. I was out with my coworkers at this low-key bar after a client presentation, and I saw Mark. Alone. Well, not alone. He was sitting at the bar with a woman I'd never seen before. Tall, red lipstick, laughing way too hard at whatever he was saying. His hand was on her thigh. Not in a "we're friends" way. I froze. My stomach dropped. I didn't confront him. I wasn't sure what I saw. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe I was wrong. I texted Elena the next morning. "Hey, random question, was Mark out last night?" She replied, "No, he was home watching the game." Why? I stared at my screen for a long time. That was the moment I knew. He lied. And she didn't know. But again, I said nothing. I convinced myself it wasn't my place. That maybe I'd misread things. That telling her would just create drama I couldn't clean up after. I didn't know it then, but that was my biggest mistake. Thinking silence would protect her. Over the next few months, the cracks grew deeper. More missed calls. More subtle lies. More times where I'd see Mark somewhere he wasn't supposed to be. One time I ran into him at a coffee shop and he pretended not to know me, even though we'd had dinner together at least a dozen times. Another time, I saw him with the same red lipstick woman. Holding hands. Broad daylight. I took a photo. It felt insane. Like I was stalking him. But I needed proof. I wasn't going to go to Elena with accusations and no receipts. I didn't show her the photo. Not yet. Instead, I tried to talk to Mark directly. I waited until Elena invited me over for brunch one Sunday. While she was in the kitchen making mimosas, I pulled him aside on the balcony. "I know what you're doing," I said. My voice was shaking. He didn't even blink. "You don't know shit. You're cheating on her." He smiled. Actually smiled. "You're cute. Think she'll believe you?" The jealous best friend with no man and too much time on her hands. I was so stunned I couldn't speak. That was when I realized he had a plan. And I wasn't part of it. I held it in for another week. I wanted to be strategic. I gathered more evidence. Even a DM from a girl who said she had hooked up with a guy named Mark, who matched his exact description, and confirmed he said he was single. That broke me. I called Elena. Told her we needed to talk in person. When I showed up at her place, she looked excited to see me. That hurt more than I expected. I knew I was about to break her heart. I laid it all out. Everything. The photos. The DMs. The lies. The way he spoke to me. I expected tears. Maybe denial. Maybe anger. But I didn't expect what she actually said. "Why are you doing this?" I blinked. "What?" "You're jealous. You've always been jealous. Just admit it. You hate seeing me happy." I swear my blood turned to ice. "Elena, I'm trying to protect you." "No, you're trying to control me. Like always. You hate that someone else is more important to me than you are." She kicked me out. That was 3 months ago. It's hard to explain the feeling of walking out of someone's life knowing you did the right thing and still feeling like the villain. After Elena kicked me out, I sat in my car for a long time, holding the phone that still had screenshots open. Evidence. Proof. Cold, hard truth that should have protected her, but instead made her hate me. I didn't cry. Not then. It was like I'd been punched in the chest but couldn't react. I just drove home, numb, silent. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I woke up to a message. From Mark. "Mark, told you she wouldn't believe you. You really should have minded your own business." At first, I tried to play it cool. I figured Elena just needed time. Maybe she was in denial. Maybe she was embarrassed. Maybe once she processed everything, she'd realize I was only trying to help. But then the whispers started. A mutual friend, Bree, texted me asking, "Why are you trying to destroy Elena and Mark's relationship? She's devastated." I was stunned. Elena hadn't told people what he did. She told people what I did. That I was trying to sabotage their relationship, that I was obsessed with her, and that I had doctored screenshots to try and break them up out of jealousy. Within a week, I could feel the shift. People stopped replying to me in the group chat. I wasn't invited to brunch. A few unfollowed me on Instagram. One girl who had been at my birthday party 2 months earlier blocked me entirely. And Elena? Radio silence. Not a text. Not a call. Nothing. I still had the photo of Mark with that red lipstick woman. And the DMs from the girl who'd said he was on Tinder. It wasn't just me being paranoid, this was real. I debated sending all the evidence to more of our mutual friends. But it felt wrong. Like I was airing someone else's trauma to make myself look better. So instead, I sat with it. I waited. Until one night, about 3 weeks after everything exploded, I got a DM. From a burner account. I'm dating Mark too. Found her name in his search history. My heart stopped. We messaged for over an hour. She sent me proof, photos of them on dates, texts, even a saved voice note of him saying he was single and living alone. He told her he was traveling for work when he stayed with Elena. The timelines overlapped. He'd been cheating not just once, but serially. This was a pattern. That night, I wrote the most careful, respectful message I could to Elena. I said, I don't expect you to believe me. I'm not trying to win you back. But I need you to know that Mark is doing this to other women too. I can send you the messages if you want. I won't contact you again if you ask me not to. She didn't reply. She blocked me. Then things got worse. A few days later, my boss calls me into his office. He says he got an anonymous tip that I'd been violating company policy by discussing confidential client information outside of work. That had never happened. But it triggered an HR investigation anyway. It was humiliating. I was temporarily pulled off a project I'd led for 6 months. They found nothing, obviously, but it put me on thin ice at work. I knew it was him. No one else would have done that. Elena didn't even know where I worked, but Mark did. We'd all been at a networking event together once. He'd seen my badge, asked where I worked, even added me on LinkedIn. I checked my LinkedIn activity. Someone had viewed my profile under a private mode. It was petty, calculated, and terrifying. One person reached out, Lena, a quiet mutual friend who had always kept her distance from drama. She texted, Lena, hey. I know you and Elena aren't speaking, but I believe you. I've seen Mark out with other women too. I just didn't want to get involved. I asked her why she never said anything. Lena, because Elena didn't want to hear it. A few of us tried to say something once. She shut it down, said she'd cut anyone out who tried to come between them. That stung. But it confirmed what I already suspected. Elena chose this. She wasn't blind. She just refused to see. Remember the red lipstick woman I saw with Mark? Her identity finally came to light, and it made my stomach flip. She worked at the same firm Elena did, not in her department, but close enough. I recognized her name from a Christmas party we'd all attended. I reached out. Carefully. Politely. I wasn't looking for a fight. She responded with hesitation, but eventually told me that she did know Mark was sort of seeing someone else, but he told her it was complicated, and they were basically broken up but still living together for lease reasons. Classic. When I asked her if she knew about Elena now, she went quiet. He said she was just a friend who had feelings for him. He told me you were the crazy one. Me? The crazy one? That's when I realized how deep his lies went. He hadn't just manipulated Elena. He'd rewritten the entire story for everyone in his orbit. I was the clingy best friend, Elena was the backup girl, and he was the misunderstood, nice guy stuck between two jealous women. Here's the part one haven't told anyone. Not Lena. Not my therapist. Not even my journal. I think Elena knew, deep down. Maybe not the extent of it. But she knew he wasn't perfect. She just didn't want to start over. She had told me once, in one of our rare real moments toward the end, I don't want to be the girl who keeps failing at love. I just want this one to work. And it broke my heart, because that was it. That was the truth. She was willing to accept a lie if it meant she could hold on to a picture of happiness, even if it was cracked and hollow underneath. And I was the one who tried to tear that illusion down. It's been 3 months. Elena still hasn't unblocked me. Mutual friends have gone completely silent. Mark, as far as I know, he's still in her life. Still playing the perfect boyfriend. Still lying through his teeth. The red lipstick woman broke it off, by the way. She told me she didn't want to be part of whatever this twisted thing is. Good for her. As for me, I'm healing. Slowly. Some days I regret saying anything. Other days, I remind myself that truth is never the enemy, no matter how people react to it. But mostly, I just miss her. Not the version of her that shrank to fit into Mark's world, but the Elena I grew up with. The one who once told me that no matter what happened, we'd always have each other. I guess not. Update. There's a point where pain stops feeling like pain. It dulls into something colder, quieter, something that sits in your chest like frostbite instead of fire. That's where I am now. 3.5 months since I tried to tell Elena the truth. 3.5 months of silence. 3.5 months of being the villain in a story I didn't write. And I've stopped caring. I don't know why I did it. Maybe some lingering guilt, or maybe just the echo of all those years when I would have done anything for her. But 2 weeks ago, I sent one last message. It was short, blunt. No emotion. There's nothing left to explain. I tried to protect you. You chose him. I'm done. I didn't expect a reply. I didn't get one. And for once, I wasn't disappointed. When you stop begging people to hear you, the silence becomes your answer. I used to think friendship was about loyalty. Standing by someone, even when they don't see the fire you're trying to pull them out of. But now I realize loyalty doesn't mean self-sacrifice. I bled myself dry trying to protect Elena from a man who never deserved her. And worse, from herself. Because here's the truth no one likes to say out loud. Some people don't want to be saved. They want the fantasy, the Instagram photos, the carefully curated illusion of a perfect relationship, even if it's built on rotting wood. Elena wasn't a victim. Not really. She was a volunteer. I used to lie and say I missed her. The late-night talks, the dumb inside jokes, the feeling that no matter what happened, someone in the world got me. But now, when I think of her, I don't feel nostalgia. I feel nothing. Not hate. Not sadness. Just absence. And honestly, that's freedom. I deleted the photos last week. All of them. The ones from high school prom. The blurry concert selfies. The beach trip with matching sunglasses. Gone. Not out of spite. Out of peace. She made her choice. And now I've made mine. It's almost funny how small Mark seems now. For months, he took up so much space in my head. The manipulation. The lies. The smug little smirk when he knew he'd turned Elena against me. But now? He's just a man. Another manipulative man with a fragile ego and a mask of charm. I hope one day Elena sees him clearly. I hope she finally catches him in a lie so undeniable that even her fantasy can't survive it. But I won't be there when it happens. That's not my job anymore. You know what's wild? I used to stress about what our mutual friends thought of me. I'd lie awake wondering how many believed I was the crazy one, or whether they were laughing behind my back. Now? I hope they did believe her. I hope they whispered and gossiped and blocked me for good. Because if someone hears the truth and still chooses a lie, they don't belong anywhere near my peace. Let them sit in their echo chamber of fake smiles and filtered brunches. I'm done performing. People love stories about healing that end in reconciliation. Two friends crying on a couch, hugging, promising never to let a man come between them again. This isn't that story. This is the kind where one woman finally realizes that the only person she ever really needed to protect was herself. So no, there won't be a tearful reunion. There won't be a moment of, I should have believed you, I'm so sorry. If she ever says it, it'll be years too late. And I won't be listening. Here's what I've learned. Just because someone was in your past doesn't mean they belong in your future. Loyalty without boundaries isn't love, it's self-destruction. If someone makes you feel like the villain for telling the truth, they were never your friend. They were just using you as a mirror they didn't like looking into. I'm not cold because I don't care. I'm cold because I cared too much for too long and it almost broke me. So I put the warmth down and walked away. Update. It was a Friday afternoon when I got the text. From a number I didn't recognize. No name, no contact photo. But I knew who it was before I even opened it. You were right. 2 words. That's all it said. But it carried the weight of 3 months of silence, betrayal, and a friendship that had been shattered into pieces I stopped trying to gather. I didn't reply. I locked my phone, turned it face down on the counter, and went back to folding laundry. Because that's who I am now. The girl who doesn't answer ghosts. It turns out the truth took longer to catch up to Mark than I expected. But it did, like it always does. According to Lena, the one mutual friend who stuck by me, it started with Elena finding an unfamiliar earring under the passenger seat of Mark's car. Not hers. Not any of her friends. Not a stretch to explain it away. But that's not what cracked it open. It was his email. He left it open on her laptop, cocky, careless. She wasn't snooping. She just wanted to check her own email and saw his name pop up in the tab. 38 unread messages from dating sites. Photos. Conversations. Dates planned, even while she and Mark were on weekend trips together. One thread was especially damning. Messages to the same woman I had seen him with months ago. Elena didn't confront him right away. She read everything. Every message. Every disgusting lie. Every sentence that made her realize just how deeply she'd been played, not just by him, but by herself. Then finally she asked him about it. And just like I knew he would, he gaslit her into the ground. You're being paranoid. Those are old. You're being crazy. You sound like Julia. That last one? That's what triggered her. Because finally, it clicked. After the confrontation, Mark left. Or maybe she threw him out. I don't know. Don't care. But what I do know is that Elena fell apart. Lena told me she didn't go to work for days. That she cried for hours. That she admitted, through sobs, that I had been right all along. She told Lena she felt sick about the way she treated me. Sick about choosing him. Sick about the months of silence she'd wrapped around herself like armor, just to avoid facing the truth I handed her on a silver platter. And then came the messages. After that first "you were right," more followed. I should have listened to you. I was stupid. I was scared. You were my best friend. I'm so sorry. Please. Just talk to me. I didn't respond. I didn't even read them all. Because this wasn't a story that needed a reunion. It needed an ending. I want to say I was torn. That it was hard not to reply. That my heart ached. But I'd be lying. I had spent months bleeding for someone who handed me the knife. And by the time she reached out, I'd already scabbed over. I wasn't angry. I wasn't vengeful. I was just done. Because real apologies don't come after consequences. They come before them. I want to say I was torn. That it was hard not to reply. That my heart ached. But I'd be lying. I had spent months bleeding for someone who handed me the knife. And by the time she reached out, I'd already scabbed over. I wasn't angry. I wasn't vengeful. I was just done. Because real apologies don't come after consequences. They come before them. These days, my circle looks different. I've made new friends, real ones. People who don't need a decade of shared history to have my back. People who listen when I speak, who trust my instincts, who don't flinch when I draw a boundary. We do Sunday coffee runs and rooftop movie nights. We laugh, genuinely. No passive-aggressive jabs, no emotional landmines waiting to explode. I've also met someone. It's new. Very new. He's not a grand romantic savior. He's not trying to fix me or pull me into some whirlwind. He just shows up. Consistently. Honestly. Kindly. And after everything, that's enough. It was bound to happen eventually. A few weeks ago, I walked into a bookstore downtown and saw her. Elena. She was standing by the memoir section, wearing a beige coat, her hair up in a messy bun like she used to wear it in college. For a second, my breath caught, not because I missed her, but because it was like looking at a photograph you forgot existed. She saw me too. There was a long moment of silence across the shelves. She stepped forward slightly, a smile beginning to form. Tentative. Hopeful. I nodded once. Just once. Not cold. Not angry. Just final. And then I turned and walked away. No drama. No big emotional scene. Just a quiet, clean cut. I don't owe her my forgiveness. Not because I hate her, I don't. but because I learned the hard way that some people only want to hold your hand when their world is burning and let go as soon as the flames die down. I'm not a fire escape. I'm not a safety net. I'm a person. And I finally chose myself. Update. I was at a farmer's market with 2 friends. We just finished getting iced coffees and were wandering past the local artisan stalls, laughing about something stupid someone said in a group chat, when I heard my name. I turned around. Elena, wearing sunglasses, holding a reusable tote bag with maybe 2 tomatoes in it, and a face full of nerves. Her voice cracked just slightly when she said, "Can we talk?" My friends exchanged a look, and I nodded to them. They stepped away. I didn't want them to hear this anyway. Elena stepped closer, wringing her hands together like she was bracing for impact. She launched into it fast, like she'd been rehearsing it in her head for weeks. "I know I don't deserve your time. I know I don't deserve a response. But I need to say this. Even if you never speak to me again." I didn't interrupt. I didn't nod. I didn't even blink. "You were right about everything. About him. About me. About the way I treated you. I was too proud. I thought I knew better. I was scared that if I admitted you were right, I'd lose everything. And I did anyway. I let him turn me against you. And I told myself I had to choose, like love only had room for one person at a time. I chose wrong. And I've regretted it every day since." She was crying now. Not loud, not performative. Just quietly unraveling. "I miss you. Not just your friendship, you. The way you saw through me. The way you protected me even when I pushed you away. I miss having my person." She paused, hopeful. "Can we talk sometime? Even just start over?" I looked at her for a long time. Not because I was trying to think of what to say, but because I was waiting for the part of me that still hurt to flare up again. It didn't. No anger. No heartbreak. Just clarity. I gave her a half smile. Just enough to be polite. And then I said, "Okay." She blinked, confused. "Okay." I nodded. "Okay." Then I turned around and walked away. The next morning, she texted me, "It was so good to see you. Thank you for listening. I know it'll take time, but I'm here whenever you want to talk. I'm not going anywhere this time." And then she started messaging me again. Every day. Not clingy. Just casual. Like we were friends again. A photo of her coffee cup. A joke from a movie we used to love. A meme about Taylor Swift that she knew I'd laugh at. A throwback pic from that trip to Seattle. Little breadcrumb messages pretending the past didn't weigh as much as it did. For a week, I ignored them. Then one night I opened my phone, scrolled to our thread, and blocked her. Because some people are chapters, not lifelines. Because apologies don't fix trust, time does. And she let too much time rot between us before she ever tried to reach across it. I didn't block her out of hate. I blocked her because I finally knew peace. And I wasn't going to risk it for nostalgia. She'll never hear from me again. She might wonder why. She might tell herself I'm still mad, or stubborn, or unforgiving. But the truth is simpler than that. She broke something I spent years protecting. And by the time she realized it, I had already moved on to better things.